Welcome back to my channel, AI True Scale. This is Sirisha Ross, your host. My guest here is Bill Bew. Bill has 37 years of experience in sports medicine innovation. Bill has been on the cutting edge of every major era in orthopedic sports medicine. He innovated Neoprene in 70s and functional bracing in 80s, cold therapy in 90s, and neuromuscular wearables in 2000s. That arc tells the story of an entire industry. I welcome Bill Bew to my show today. Welcome, Bill.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to the time with you.
I'm excited to have you. So tell us about your story and how it started. What's your
Yeah,
current role?
well, before we got on this, we both agreed that we believe in God. And quite interestingly, when I was 26, I was walking to get some coffee, take a break from my job. And I got a message that said, one day you're going to find what you want to do and you're going to give it everything. And in a year and a half, actually, my mother had called and said, um, the neoprene wraps that I'm using on horses was getting very popular. And an orthopedic surgeon who had horses said, "This is working for the horses I have. How about if we try this on patients?" And medicine was a conversation at that point. I don't think anybody really understood exactly what it meant. But she said, "You've been an athlete your whole life. Are you interested in developing, manufacturing neoprene products and going out and selling them?" And I said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to." So I actually established a route in 9 different states in the West, driving them. It took me 8 weeks to get back home. So
Wow.
that was actually my fellowship in sports medicine, which led to an opportunity with a company that I was competing with, which was DonJoy. I happened to run into their president one day at a convention, a sports medicine convention. And he said, "Hey," he said, "you're outselling us in the marketplace. We're about to come out with a knee brace, and I'd love to have you direct our national sales." Decided to have dinner with him that evening. And during that conversation, it led to a meeting a couple weeks later when I flew from Arizona, where I was currently living, to Carlsbad. We talked for 45 minutes, made a deal, and I moved with my wife from Arizona to California. We had 7 wonderful years with DonJoy, really pioneering the first off-the-shelf ACL brace, and that company was sold. We had a great partnership and, decided to start another company, which was Breg, and pointed out earlier, we, came out with a cold therapy unit that was the first continuously circulating cold therapy unit that was
Mhm.
pad was applied post-operatively in the OR room, along with the dressings, and depending on the procedure, let's say it was a knee, long leg brace, they would be brought into recovery attached to one of our cold therapy units, and the values were really a reduction in pain medications, increased range of motion, and so they were able to be discharged early. And that particular product blew up. It was a big. It attracted many different salespeople around the country that I ended up hiring, and we had that company from 1990 to 2004, at which point we sold the company. During that period of time, I was the first entrepreneur ever invited to become a member of the ACL study group, where I listened to the most, or some of the most prolific surgeons and biomechanists every other year. And in doing so, I learned that from one of the biomechanists that if you want to enhance recovery of a patient postoperatively, you must restore proprioception and neuromuscular communication. And so I kept that in my mind as we built and sold that company. I took a few years off after about 30 years in the business. And then we actually had a daughter who was still at home and starting to play volleyball. The coaches, athletic trainers, orthopedic surgeons were suggesting that they put on ankle braces during that time. And I thought it was leading to more injuries than it was protecting the girls. So I started reading published research on the foot ankle and really came up with the conclusion that the muscles the Lord had given us to create and control movement of the foot ankle were not firing as fast as they needed to protect these girls from ankle injuries. So I decided to put down my fly rod and my golf clubs and go back to work again. We fired up topical gear and we how to speed up reaction time of the mind to muscle communication. Medicine, it's known as proprioception and neuromuscular communication. I put a prototype design on my daughter's right ankle, left her in an ankle brace with the left ankle. And after
Mhm.
55 games, I asked her if she could tell me anything about her experience in two completely different products while being an outside hitter
Mhm.
with one of the best high school and club teams in the United States.
Mhm.
And she thought for a second and she said, "You know, I actually caught myself twice wearing this new product."
Mhm.
And to me, that said, aha, that mind to muscle communication had sped up and
Mhm.
she prevented rolling that ankle, which then makes the lateral ligaments vulnerable. So I said, we're in business.
Mhm.
So we
Right.
started manufacturing product. Um, Almost all of the girls on her team threw their ankle braces in the trash and purchased the product that was designed to better protect them during sport. I traveled nationally for some 5 years in volleyball. Then we went up to the knee and learned the same technology, applying 25 mmHg to the specific muscles that create and control movement of
Mhm.
the which were the medial quads and hamstrings. Went to girls soccer, found very positive results through published and translational research. When traveling with them, specifically their ECNL group, which is the elite youth female soccer program. And then recently had one of our biomechanists talk to us about taking the same approach in caring for baseball pitcher and reducing UCL injuries with that specific sport, that specific position. We've been continuing to apply and get translational research from baseball pitchers and have recently had very good success, which included having one of the baseball pitchers that just got inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame as our ambassador for what we call the T25 elbow. So that gives you the
Mhm.
last few decades of what I've been involved in.
That's, like, amazing. This is too much technical. You're definitely a true innovator. So, I know, like, 37 years is a long time, and, thank you for doing that. because I know like there's so many people who are in sports, they are benefiting from your innovations. That's an awesome journey, Bill.
Yeah, well, thank you, and I should continue just a little bit more. As we started to get lead orthopedic physicians applying our wearable technology,
Mhm.
the lead physician, Dr. Vince McInerney out of Wayne, New Jersey, said, Bill, I'm applying product to patients now for some 16 months. Athletes like it, it benefits them. But when I tell my 50 plus patients that I've got
Mhm.
something that will uh, wake up, activate, train the specific muscles that are currently on vacation in your knee, their
Mhm.
response is, I can't wait to try this product. So, after
That's
9 years
awesome.
of focusing exclusively on female athletes, we switched our target market to the 50 plus and have uh, obtained significant research on them. In fact, we got a chance to work with 107 patients during
Mm.
COVID pandemic when
Mhm.
all orthopedic clinics, PTs, and imaging was shut down. And they got a chance to restore functional movement in our
Mhm.
T25 knees. Mean um, return to activity or sport in those 107 patients was 40 days. And so today, actually, I'm in communication with some of Dr. Oz's staff
Mhm.
to see if we can't encourage, I'll say,
Mhm.
governing body of Medicare, Medicaid to start opening doors for us with boomers and seniors who today want to remain active. So that's really where we're at today with topical gear.
That's an awesome journey, and yeah, I know I remember you saying that, it's also 50 plus adults. So that's amazing. I know you also mentioned last time when I talked to you, you are trying to get into that Medicare, aspect of it. So how is that going? And, what are you expecting in
Yeah,
next
I've had some
few months?
communication with his chief of staff.
Mhm.
And like any introduction uh, to the government, it's a
Mhm.
process.
Right.
And
True.
so they are aware of what we're doing.
Mhm.
They do understand we're focusing on restoring, retaining activity of the
Mhm.
population that they're responsible for. And
Mhm.
with time, communication, we hope to penetrate that marketplace. And the place I've really suggested within the boomers and seniors, Medicare, Medicaid, is going to rural hospitals. There's a significant amount of funds that have been allotted to rural hospitals throughout the
Mhm.
country to continue to support the care that they give
Mhm.
to much less populated areas. And because wearing our restoring movement with our wearables can be done in place, or another way of saying it is during an individual's specific lifestyle,
Mhm.
it's a great way to, in essence, restore movement, provide physical therapy
Mhm.
to individuals, whether they're on a ranch, a farm, whether they're
Mhm.
doing blue collar type um,
Right.
labor.
Yeah.
So that's where I hope to start with Medicaid, Medicare in rural setting.
That's awesome. So how do you see that trend going in the future, and how what were you seeing in respect to the growth for your business?
Yeah. How I see it really evolving, especially in the rural markets, there happens to be a convention that's coming to San Diego where I live. And I'm picking one specific state that I'm
Mhm.
going to start communicating with all of the rural hospitals. It happens to be Wyoming,
Okay.
where there are some 19 to 21 different regional rural hospitals that may have representatives from those hospitals coming to this national meeting in,
Okay.
I believe it's early May.
Mhm.
So I'm actually going to suggest that any of the individuals that represent those hospitals
Mhm.
get a chance to do a breakout session with me. And there's no better way to do that by seeing if we can't get some time at breakfast, lunch,
Hmm.
excuse me, or dinner to get to know
Bless
each
you.
other personally and understand how our wearables can assist in their caring of this rural population.
That's a huge opportunity for you. I think that'll be great. I want to hear more about it when it comes, like in May. So another shift of the topic. So, what are the major trends or shifts that you're seeing in your industry currently?
Yeah, well, the obvious one is AI. It's everywhere
Awesome. Yeah.
and is going to continue to be um, a bigger part of all of our lives, personally, professionally, no question about it. And to that point, we have some 22 medical and sport professionals that are involved in topical gear. One of them
Hmm.
is he's a biomechanist. Mike Deckery came out of this Stedman Hawkins Clinic, a very prestigious sports medicine group where he was at for 11 years. He's been a part of
Hmm.
topical gear since 2013, and
Hmm.
he is in the process of creating a
Hmm.
3D markerless motion analysis app that displays
Okay.
skeletal image of the torso via AI in five
Hmm.
minutes.
That's
And
awesome.
so we are actually looking for money. We're looking for a partner right now who can allow
Hmm.
us to continue the development of this product. And once it is launched, we will have what we call twin technologies that assess and
Hmm.
address um, patient care.
Hmm.
And so obviously AI is every place we have a device that can provide something that orthopedists, primary care, neurologists don't have available today to
Hmm.
be able to see of a patient the first time they come in.
Huh.
And
That's
uh,
interesting.
those patients uh, many of which will have muscles that are on vacation or atrophy is another way to say it. And when they apply our wearables, will
Hmm.
activate specific muscles that create and control movement of an
Hmm.
knee or an elbow to start to restore the functional movement of that particular extremity. When a patient comes back after wearing the wearable, uh,
Hmm.
the physician will use the app again
Uh-huh.
to see better alignment, get positive responses from the patient, and have a history
Hmm.
documented showing, the care that was given. Pretty cool.
That's that's pretty cool. Yeah, I can envision this. Like, I know I told you my background, so with the
Mm,
medical condition that I have, so I can kind of like see it and what this app can do.
yeah. Um, my wife and I have made a large commitment. Again, I'll, say that, the Lord's directed us. And
Mhm.
nobody until now has understood how to activate the specific muscles that create and control movement of the
Mhm.
extremity. With this tool, we have been
Mhm.
able to learn things that orthopedists, neurologists, physical therapists,
Mhm.
athletic trainers
Mhm.
have not been aware of because they haven't had a tool that
Right.
can further address patient deficits and therefore make them aware of the real true value of proprioception and neuromuscular communication of what's called, if you've got medical professionals watching this, the
Mhm.
agonist and antagonist muscles
Mhm.
that, again, we
Yeah, that's very interesting, and that's cool app. So what are your plans to raise capital? So what are you doing to reach out to these investors who will be interested in putting some money down and see this happening?
yeah, the majority of it is word of mouth.
Mhm.
I was fortunate at Donjoy and Bragg to have excellent partners. And if you can't handpick who you are going to be living with,
Mhm.
truthfully, investing with, uh,
Mhm.
doing restoration of functional movement in a human being with,
Mhm.
you might be disappointed. So I'm patiently waiting to find that individual. We are currently in conversations
Mhm.
with one specific such individual who is interested in forming a new company that will not only have wearables that are speaking directly to what I presented here, but also have cellular benefits uh,
Mhm.
in their wearables. With the amount of people that we know
Mhm.
and the exposure that we have, I include conversations on LinkedIn posts, few Facebook posts, and submit a few videos over the
Mhm.
years. I think a lot of
Mhm.
people are going, I've got to wait and see.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, but most people wait for things to happen. There's very few that welcome things, and that's what we're looking for is that individual. We've found them with coaches in volleyball and soccer.
Mhm.
Like I said, we have some 22 medical and sport professionals that
Mhm.
have understood the need and have stepped in to contribute.
Mhm.
And so the right one will come. I mentioned we have a pitcher who was just inducted into the Baseball Hall of Fame. He's had our elbow and our knee wearables on
Mhm.
two of his boys, one that just graduated high school, another that's playing for a major league team,
Mhm.
and when the Lord's got things lined up for us, the right person will come with money and understanding, and will roll up their sleeves and get involved with us.
I really pray that will happen, and it is going to happen because I think you have done that in the past, and you will continue to do that. And I really wish you the best.
Mm, thank you.
So, it's another question about your current state. So, what's working for you right now, and what are do you have any frustrations that's not working and you want to improve on?
Yeah. I think persistence is what's working for us right now.
Mhm.
Belief, faith. I'll try and make this as simple as possible to
Mhm.
tell you why we have the faith. The Lord gave us mind to muscle communication at birth.
Mhm.
At 1, it worked for us when we eventually learned to walk. At
Mhm.
3, when we learned to ride a bike. And at 7, when we learned a soccer ball. But by 13, we start putting dynamic loads on our limb that mind to muscle communication we were given at birth no longer can handle. So we start injuring ourselves,
Mhm.
which leads to surgeries. And with every injury or surgery, atrophy occurs. So that mind to muscle communication we were giving at birth becomes compromised. Not only wasn't it of enough significance when we got to 13, but it continues to get compromised
Mhm.
throughout our life. And
Mhm.
coaches have learned to try and mask that by putting us in weight rooms, by doing,
Mhm.
but the essential communication that we were given has to be enhanced with our wearables,
Mhm.
or we're masking that deficit that continues to occur. So, understanding that, which very few people do,
Mhm.
I know that the right, again, individual or individuals or company will come
Mhm.
in and say, we understand, we're willing to put the capital and
Mhm.
talent together to drive this technology with the goal of enhancing performance and reducing risk of initial recurrent injury. Because whether you're trying to, and I'll go back over that again, whether you're
Mhm.
trying to enhance performance of an individual, reduce
Mhm.
risk of injury, reduce risk of recurrent injury, or reduce risk of recurrent injury post surgery, you have to do the
Mhm.
same thing. And that's restoring mind to muscle communication.
Hmm. That's interesting. So, yeah. So, so that's good. I think definitely faith beats everything, and persistence, as you said. It's just just persist, right? So, okay, so now my next question is, which metrics are you most focused on improving? So
Metric.
in your business, what's your how do you measure things? I know, so faith is one thing that you talked about, and I know the future plans that you shared with me. So now you're believing that the right investors are going to come and they're going to invest in the plan, or the app that you're talking about, which uses the AI. I think that's the path you're taking. But now, what's the metrics, or how are you going to measure once everything aligns, right? So what's the metrics that you're focused on improving?
Yeah.
And it can be in your current business model as well. So I know this is like a future project for you, but you do have a current business that's currently you're driving. So it can be like what's the most
Yeah. Well,
focused on.
obviously, sales are something we would, every
Hmm.
company needs. We have
Right.
models of a couple of the most noted orthopedic, sports medicine, arthroscopy, biologics physicians in the country.
Hmm.
We have data from one of them. I personally started a telemovement program where
Hmm.
I consulted free of charge
Hmm.
with 1,800 of his patients over a 4-year term,
Hmm.
1,600 of which purchased. So we have functioning models, but
Hmm.
to blow up sales, you have to
Hmm.
have significant capital. And so it really goes back to my statement earlier. We have the manufacturing, we have the science, the patents,
Hmm.
we have the research published and translational,
Hmm.
and we have the models of orthopedists that are currently applying product uh,
Hmm.
as they're functioning well. And we're really at a point where we have to have money now. As a truthfully a startup that's been around for 15 years,
Hmm.
um, before we can really become a profitable model.
Okay. So what are you so what are you there?
Yeah, again, going back to visibility, both on the field, particularly in baseball. in the marketplace in orthopedics and social platforms, making people aware of what we're doing until
Hmm.
the right person, company,
So,
firm decides to step in and become a partner.
okay. So is there a filtering process? So let's say tomorrow 100 people are coming to you and say, "Bill, I heard your story and it's very interesting and it's truly amazing and we want to invest." Are you going to so you do you have a filtering process how you filter them? So let's say you have like a lot of interest coming to you. Is there a process or you'll just pick the first one and who can effort or pay you the capital to
Yeah.
keep going.
Well, as I mentioned, I have an individual who's creating a new
Mhm,
company that we're talking to right now, and I can give you some basics with them.
mhm,
Great example. He was brought to me through one of the physicians that is a part of this 22 person group that
mhm,
I referenced earlier.
mhm,
And they work together with another company that this entrepreneur owns.
mhm,
From the opening remarks with that orthopedic surgeon, we started conversations directly asking what was my goal, what was his goal, and do they align? And
mhm,
that conversation, we have found that they do.
mhm,
The goals that we have for our technologies, wearables, and other product lines are
mhm,
all similar. End game
mhm,
is also understood right now. The next step is sitting across from each other, discussing uh, the business dollars and cents side of things.
mhm,
And that's the process we're going through. Same thing that would be done no matter who we come with. Do you have an alignment of your objectives, marketplace process to get
mhm,
there, people to get there with dollars that it's going to cost, dollars it's going to produce.
mhm,
And um, if all that aligns, as long as also your personal expectations, I'll say, or habits,
mhm.
and we set out to make all that occur.
That's awesome. So that's good. That's a good improvements to be focused on. The last topic before we wrap. So where do you want to see where do you want to see in next 6 to 12 months from now?
Yeah.
So I know you have like big plans. Just have you thought about like 12 months?
Yeah. Well, I'm hopeful that the conversations I'm having right now actually
Mhm.
evolve, occur, and
Mhm.
find talent to help us build out the business plan that we have set up. There
Mhm.
1.7 billion people with musculoskeletal issues worldwide.
Mhm.
Yeah. Our goal would be to make everyone aware of what we have
Mhm.
so that they could enjoy life, have better functional movement. When you
Mhm.
really take a look at our healthcare system, nobody truly understands movement or holds it up as a
Mhm.
topic to itself. We have ankles, we have knees, we have shoulders.
Mhm.
The list goes on, and everybody's become more specialized in what they're doing. But
Mhm.
to completely understand how movement, occurs
Mhm.
and how to enhance it and how to it
Mhm.
is not understood. And so, with the formation of a new company, capital, talent,
Mhm.
we will educate as much of that 1.7 billion people around the world as possible. And that's the goal. More than
That's
enough
good.
will purchase product. And
Hmm.
if they're really tuned in to what we're doing, they will purchase product annually.
Right.
Uh,
Right.
Muscles need constant attention. If you
Correct.
quit paying attention to muscles, if you quit working out at the gym, guess what? They go on
Yeah.
vacation.
True.
You really should be purchasing our wearables
Hmm.
annually. And
Hmm.
it's really an investment in your health. If you don't move properly, lungs, heart, etc., will not be as healthy.
Right. So, I know we're running on time here. So, one last question, and I do have like a follow up. We can take it after this. But so, if capital is not in the picture, so what is your if you have to solve one major challenge today, putting the capital aside, what would it be?
Yeah, everything's lined up because of my history and having good partners
Hmm.
who specialized in different aspects of our business. There's nothing that needs to be brought into the picture in order for us to be successful other than
Hmm.
cap. Um,
Okay.
we're on the launching pad. All we need's the fuel to get us into orbit.
That's awesome. I think that is a great position to be in, Bill. I think you're doing fantastic. So I think those are the questions that I have. And thank you for your time today. And I really, really appreciate your taking time to talk to my audience.
Well, thank you. I look forward to possibly some follow up, and
Yes.
I hope you have a wonderful day.
Thank you, Bill. You too.